Paranatural Podcast. My name is Ben.
And I'm the hash-slinging slasher.
I can't believe you said that like one go. He's not the hash-slinging slasher. He's Jake. And we are very glad to have you here with us tonight as we talk about the Wisconsin werewolf, the most famous upright walking canid on the planet.
Shut up.
The beast of Bray Road.
The off-brand dog, man.
Jacob, how the hell are you doing tonight, buddy?
Well, the hash-slinging slasher thing, I promised Adonis. Long time ago, he gave us an idea for an episode, and though it was a good subject, it was my least favorite one to do just because of the human torment. You remember which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was a dark topic.
Yeah, I loved it.
Anyway, but the hash slinging slasher, you pulled that off pretty good. I'm impressed. No stroke
Thanks.
in the intro.
No, not Billy Squire in it today.
Good reference, goddamn. Hitting it with a deep cut. Jesus Christ.
Thank you. Thank you. How the hell are you?
You know, I'm doing pretty well.
Just pretty well?
Just pretty well. Okay, actually, I'm doing really well.
Good.
So I want to kind of share something that I know you and probably our listeners will appreciate.
Gasp.
I had like a proud dad moment the other day.
Oh, gross.
So I know you'll like this. I'm raising my children right. So it was a few days ago from the time we're recording this. I was sitting here in my little office studio area, and my kids come down the stairs, and I noticed that they're turning lights off as they come around the corner, which is something they never do. They never turn lights off. Well, my daughter comes in the room, and she says, "Can I shut this door?" And I'm like, "Fuck no, you can't shut this door. This is how I'm seeing what the hell you're doing." And she's like, "Okay, can I shut off the light?" And I'm like, "Why are you guys shutting off the lights?" Right? She tells me they're gonna hunt ghosts. And that's like what I noticed that she has on her head. Her brother's like quote unquote night vision goggles, which are just like these blue like safety glass things with flashlights on the side.
Yeah.
And the boy's got like his spy pen recorder thing out. And I'm like, guess I can't argue with that logic. You're going to hunt ghosts, right? I'm like, why do you need the lights off? She's like, because they're scared of the light. I'm like, I mean, okay, whatever. Sure, shut the lights off. And then I sat here and watched my kids run around in the dark asking, "Ghosts, are you here? Is there any ghosts here?" for like a half an hour. And I was so proud of them.
All right. I too had a proud dad moment the other day.
Please share.
So there I was laying in bed with my dear River laying next to me, and she lets out this tremendous fart. I hold out my hand for a high five. She did it.
If this is your first episode, River is the three-legged dog and the mascot for the Paranatural Podcast.
Yeah, I'll have to. I think I got a picture of her on the Facebook.
I'm not sure you do.
I think I do when she was helping me with my notes.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Put up another one, though.
I will.
She's an adorable mascot.
She is.
I just have fucking podcats that run around.
Overused joke, still funny. Hello, Family Guy. All right, so we're doing the Discount Dog Man, huh?
The Beast of Bray Road, yes.
Discount Dog Man.
Well, you're such a hater.
Yes, I am.
All right. Now, before I get into the meat and taters of this particular episode, I do want to take just a minute to talk about why I'm doing this topic specifically tonight. So the Beast of Bray Road has been on my list of topics to cover since I started compiling a list of topics to cover for this show. But it got moved up to a more immediate position due to the passing of Linda S. Godfrey who is the woman who made this story a nationally known thing. Linda S. Godfrey passed away on November 27th, 2022 at the age of 71. Now, I never met Linda or anything like that, but I have been a fan of her work for a very long time. I have a handful of her books on my shelf since way before we started even thinking about doing a podcast, and have listened to many interviews that she did on a bunch of different shows, including Coast to Coast AM and all your big paranormal podcasts and all that stuff. Linda was best known for her writings about upright walking canines, such as the Michigan Dog Man, werewolves, and the creature we're going to talk about tonight, the Beast of Bray Road. Her style was really unique in the world of cryptozoology. She wasn't so much a researcher as she was a reporter. She let people tell their story and didn't put her own thoughts and feelings into the mix. Unlike a lot of people who write books about these types of things, she didn't discount any stories from people that she felt were credible, just because they didn't fit the pattern she thought they should. If a witness described a wolf walking on its hind legs, that's what she reported. If the wolf was seen wearing pants and a sport coat while enjoying a mimosa on the beach, that's what went in her books. She was open-minded and funny, and more of us in the paranormal community should strive to follow her example. So, in honor of Linda Godfrey, let's talk about the monster that in 1991 she made into a national phenomenon and that propelled her from small-town reporter and cartoonists into a renowned cryptozoologist. Now, the book that I used for this episode was Linda Godfrey's book, The Beast of Bray Road, Tailing Wisconsin's Werewolf. That was the book I used. Now, the first witness that Linda interviewed for the newspaper article that would make this a national headline story was a woman by the name of Lori Andreezy. Lori had seen something strange. This all came about in 1991, and Lori had seen something 2 years prior in 1989. Lori was driving home via the 3-mile stretch of rural two-lane known as Bray Road. It was 1:30 in the morning, and the rural road outside of Elkhorn, Wisconsin was mostly deserted, which I live in an area very similar to Elkhorn, Wisconsin, and I can tell you at 1:30 in the morning, there ain't no fucking buddy around. Lori first spotted the creature in her headlights, and its back was facing her, so she got a really good look at its pointy ears. But as she drove forward, she noticed something startling about the way the creature was positioned. This thing was kneeling, and kneeling is not something that a dog can do. Not last time I checked, anyway. Their legs just kind of don't work like that. Lori said that its elbows were up and its claws were facing outward, so she got a really good look at them. And she said they were pretty big fucking claws. In its pretty big fucking claws were the remains of a flattened small mammal, which she got the impression that the creature was eating. So, Beast of Bray Road having a little chunk of skunk, maybe? Little swirl of squirrel. Little thumper on a bumper.
Roadkill Cafe, you kill it, we grill it.
You kill it, we grill it, baby. Now, anyway, she said that she could see the eye shine coming from the creature, which is not surprising. Most animals have some sort of eye shine when they're out at night like that. Just not people. But she was really, really surprised when the creature did not run away like any other animal would do, but instead turned its head and watched her go by. Not something normal to a critter. She described the creature as being covered in dark, brownish gray fur. And Jacob, would you please give us a guess as to how big she said it was?
I'm going to have to say right about 84 inches.
Which is
7 foot.
Nope. Lori Andreezy estimated that the beast was 5'7" and weighed about 150 pounds.
I hate her.
He's just a wee feller.
Yeah, he's not a full-grown dog, man.
He's a wee fella. Yeah, he's not a full-grown dog, man. Definitely not in the weight class of a Sam Squanch.
or a 90-foot Wendigo.
Yeah, fucking far from a Wendigo. Anyway, after seeing this thing in the road, Lori was pretty well set on trying to figure out what exactly it had been that she'd seen. Since it was 1989, the interweb wasn't really a thing. So she did that time period's version of Googling it and went to the library, which, if kids, if you're listening, a library is a place that has books. And books are like written internet, okay? Like on paper. Anyway.
Huh.
I know, right? What a fucking concept.
Oh, that was a hotel for homeless.
At the library, she came across a book that I want to get my fucking hands on. It's called The Golden Book of the Mysterious. Yeah, it sounds like something you remember little golden books?
Uh-huh.
Sounds like one of those, only with spooky shit inside. Monsters for kids.
It's like the Spiderwick Chronicles then.
Good reference.
2 for 2, Jake.
2 for 2 today. Now, inside this particular book was an illustration titled Werewolf. Now, it was this illustration that she would show Linda 2 years later during their interview and tell the reporter that that is what she had seen.
Interview.
I got a little tongue-tied. Now, years later, Lori Andreezy would tell Linda Godfrey that she had felt that the creature was supernatural, that she felt it was satanic. She said, quote, "To this day, I believe it was satanic," end quote. She told Linda this in a phone interview. And she continued saying, quote, "It was just my feeling. I don't really believe in werewolves per se, but I believe something could be, well, conjured up. My grandmother was very religious, and she believed it too," end quote. Yes, Jake.
So she thinks that someone's just like manifesting a werewolf.
Precisely.
Okay.
That was kind of her belief on it, yes. We'll get into this a little bit more in a minute.
Snips and snails and puppy dog tails.
I wish it was like that, but we'll get into that in a second.
It's a Powerpuff Girl reference.
I never really watched that one.
Some 90s kid you are, Ben.
Dexter's Lab was my fucking jam. And Johnny Bravo.
Ooh, ha! Do the monkey with me.
Mama warned me about women like you. Anyway. So the next person that Linda Jesus fucking Christ.
Linda viewed.
The next person interviewed was Doris Gibson, who had seen the beast on Halloween night in 1991. And yes, Linda Godfrey in her book says, yeah, that's kind of coincidental, but I believe the girl, so here we go.
A bit derivative.
Correct. Gibson was traveling on Bray Road that particular night and recounts that it was pretty foggy. Well, her actual quote said smoggy, but yeah, I don't know. Same thing.
Where they at?
Same thing. It just kind of struck me weird. Who calls it smoggy? For God's sake, that's something in Los Angeles, not fucking rural Wisconsin.
That's a California thing.
Right. Anyway, it was foggy, and as she drove, she felt her front tire kind of lift up off the ground a little because she'd hit something. So thinking that the something was a small animal, she got the car stopped about 60 feet later and got out to see what it was she had hit and whether or not she could do something for the poor critter. She couldn't see anything in the road right away, so she started walking toward the back of her car, kind of back towards wherever it was she hit might be. That's when she saw the creature, and it was running right for her. She said it was certainly no dog, and that it was bigger than she was. For some reason, she paid the most attention to its big, hairy chest. I mean, some girls like big, hairy chests, but time and place, ma'am.
Whip it out, Ben.
And after noticing its big, hairy chest, she hauled ass back into the car. Just as she shut the door, the creature pulled a Swamp Thing from fucking Skatepore and lunged and grabbed at the back of her vehicle. Okay. Now, Gibson did not fuck around. She just floored the go pedal and was gone. And the thing did not hang on very well. It was gone.
It'd be tough to hold on.
She would later say that she had never seen any person run so fast, and that while she didn't pay any attention to the creature's lower half, she was sure it was running on 2 legs because she could hear its footsteps and, of course, saw its big, hairy chest.
Arr.
Yeah. She said that the creature was brown with long, straight hair. It was bigger than any dog she had ever seen, and her description was of a much bigger and more muscular creature than the one Andreezy had described.
Oh, boy.
So that part, it kind of makes me stop and think, like, so because she was scared, did she overestimate the size of it? Because that's a thing that happens. Or in the couple of years between Andreezy's sighting and Gibson's, did the creature actually, like, grow up? Was it like a juvenile, and then 2 years later, now it's an adult? Makes me curious.
So, puppy puberty?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it a whole different creature? Like, same species, different creature?
Did she get a look at the taters? Were they low?
She did not get a look at its tater. She didn't look at its lower body. She was focusing on its big, muscular, hairy chest.
She should have looked at the big, hairy, muscular...
Anyway. Now, this was not the last encounter Doris Gibson would have. Later on that very same night, she was asked to pick up a younger friend from a Halloween party. So she went to get this younger girl, picked her up, and was taking Bray Road home again.
Smart.
Yeah, that's not something that I would do. Not without, like, some real heavy fucking armament and a bunch of friends who were equally heavily armed. Just saying. But, you know white women, they ain't scared of shit.
You do you, boo.
Anyway, while she's driving home, the younger girl is looking out the window and says, "Look at that thing." And there was the goddamn creature standing by the road. At which point, Gibson just punched the fucking gas because she didn't want it to grab her car again. And they got the fuck out of there. And according to Linda's book, she never drove on Bray Road again.
Okay. So a second time was the charm.
Yeah, second time was a charm. Now, later on, she did actually look at her car and found claw marks on the trunk, which she showed to Linda Godfrey during their interview. And Linda said, yeah, there were what looked like claw marks on there, but it's kind of hard to prove what might have made them. But there was some sort of mark that looked like claw marks there.
She should have pulled out her smartphone and started recording like every other white girl.
In 91?
Yeah. Duh. Pull out the Apple 14X Pro.
The Apple negative 43. Anyway. So Gibson was of the opinion that she would have been dinner that night if the creature had caught up to her. And while she was not willing to call the thing a werewolf like Andreezy did, she did say the following, quote, "I'd say it was a freak of nature, one of God's mistakes," end quote.
You ever wonder why we don't get a story from someone who got mauled to death?
Probably because they're dead. We'd have to get a Ouija board for that story, and Ouija boards make for really bad audio podcasts.
Got one right here.
But you can't listen to a Ouija board. You're just going, shh.
Oh, shit.
Shut fuck shit. Shh. Are you doing that?
Was that a T or an S?
Fuck, I think I missed a letter.
Can you redo that one, Ghost?
Yeah, see? Not great audio. Anyway.
I'd listen to that one all day.
Another sighting of the Beast of Bray Road was that of Heather Bowie, who was 13 when Linda Godfrey interviewed her. And she saw the creature with a group of friends in December of 1990. The kids had been out sledding by a creek and were on their way home. It was just before dusk, so like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when the kids spotted what they thought was a huge dog. That was a joke for people in northern climates with daylight savings time. Anyway. Anyway, they thought it was...
I thought that was normal for a sec.
Yeah, right. They thought it was a big dog until it stood up. And by stood up, we mean on its hind fucking legs. So she said it had silver-colored fur with brown in it, a face like a coyote's, and legs that were different than a dog's. She said of its legs, quote, when it stood up, they looked bigger than a dog's or coyote's, like they could stand up and run and jump and stuff, end quote. Yes, Jay.
Why can't we get a fucking pug man?
Oh, look at his cute squinkle face.
I want that cryptid.
Yeah, that's a lot less scary than coyote face. Like,
honestly, all slobbers. It's a boxer face.
Saint Bernard face with the big jowls and shit, just drooling all over the place.
Who's a big boy? Don't slobber on me.
But anyway, Heather then stated that the creature was staring at her. And this stare is described by a lot of witnesses. Like Lori Andreezy said it stared at her when she drove by, and fucking Gibson kind of said the same thing when she went by. It was staring at her. And a lot of people who I'm not going to cover say the same thing, that it stares at them. And the dog man, the Michigan dog man, is said to do the same type of thing. Like,
yeah,
it just fucking
and
creepy
more.
stares at you. Like, you know, this is something that, like, a lot of people, they're really freaked out by the staring thing that these upright walking canids do. So, whatever. I mean, I get it. If it was staring at me, I'd be scared too.
Well, so I'd like to debunk a little bit of fear there. An animal. Here's a crinkle or something. Well, a dog. Speaking on behalf of River right here.
Mm-hmm.
She hears a crinkle, or she sees that I see something interesting. She's staring at me thinking food. And she don't look away from me. She stares right into my soul. Like, I could be holding a brownie over 3 feet from my head to the right. And she's staring at me.
Okay, yes, but there are different kinds of stares even from dogs.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, there's the give me food or I love you stare from a dog, and then there's the I'm thinking about ripping out your throat stare.
Yeah, and they're getting the I'm horny stare.
Right.
Yeah.
These kids were getting the I might eat you stare.
Oh, misread that one.
Yeah. So, anyway. The kids and the creature stared at each other for a few moments until the children realized that this was not normal, got scared, and beat feet for home. Okay? The beast gave chase, running, according to the kids, like a dog, but with much bigger, faster leaps. When they got about halfway to the house, the creature stopped chasing, turned around, and disappeared into a field. I kind of wonder why it stopped.
I don't know.
Like, I feel like it could have caught a bunch of 11-year-old kids if it wanted to.
I mean, we can go back to my encounter.
Yours didn't chase you, though.
I know.
You ran.
It totally could have.
Could have. It's just kind of curious. Why would it chase them at all if it wasn't actually intending to catch them? Just to scare them off, maybe? But from what?
Territorial. Maybe it's got some dog babies.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe it's not even the dog man. Maybe it's...
It's the dog broad?
Yeah, dog broad.
The beast of Broad Road? Anyway.
The bitch of Bray Road.
Oh, we're getting canceled. Anyhow. Yeah, I really don't know. It's just really fucking weird to me that it would just kind of stop.
It could be a territorial thing. Like, maybe they didn't smell its piss.
I mean, any theory, it's just weird to me. It's just weird.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Maybe it's a herbivore.
I don't think that's true. It was eating roadkill.
It's Vegemite. It's it's a chia pet that someone threw in the road.
Anyway, Heather told her parents what had happened and like begged them to go out and look, an offer which they declined. So now all of the other kids that Linda tracked down and talked to confirmed the story. But aside from a boy named Russell Guest, they chose to remain anonymous. Guest gave his name. He was fine with it, but the rest of them didn't want to. I understand. I get it. There were, like I said, a lot of reports about this thing, especially after the initial article. Most of these were more or less descriptions of like big wolf tracks or people seeing a really huge wolf-looking thing crossing the road, sometimes on four, sometimes upright. In one case, a couple wrote to Linda and said they saw the creature chasing a deer, right? Just shit like that. And a lot of those came after, but a lot of them came before too. And a lot of the ones that were before the article weren't reported to Linda, but were reported to a man named John Fredrickson, who was the Walworth County Animal Control Officer. Now, Linda spoke to Fredrickson about the sightings, and he was of the opinion that people were misidentifying a regular animal. A bear, a wolf, a real big dog, something like that.
Woof.
However, there were a few things from the interview with Fredrickson that are worth discussing here on our podcast. The first is that when he showed Linda the file he had that he was keeping on all the sightings, it was labeled werewolf because that's what people were describing. So he just labeled the file werewolf. Now, according to Linda, that it was a joke. It was meant to be tongue-in-cheek, labeling it werewolf. But an official government file labeled werewolf is pretty fucking interesting. Whether it's a joke or not, that's pretty fucking interesting. Another interesting thing is a story that Fredrickson shared with Linda. So, Lori Andreezy, the woman from the first sighting we covered, had actually gone to Fredrickson's office to report what she had seen. Now, while she was there, she shared her suspicion that the creature had its origin in occult practices. Now, while her and Fredrickson discussed the possibility of this being a thing, several books flew off of a shelf as if they had been pushed. Both Andreezy and Fredrickson attest that this happened, and both say there's no fucking reason for it to have occurred. Nobody closed a door real hard somewhere in the office. Nobody did anything. They're just sitting there talking, and these books on Fredrickson's office wall just flew the fuck off. Yeah, weird, huh?
Huh. I got a telekinetic man dog.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if this has anything to do with the Beast of Bray Road or not, but that's what the fuck they were talking about when it happened. So, question mark?
I concur the question mark.
Right. But that kind of thing is what I mean when I say that Linda Godfrey just told the story as it was told to her. Because if she had an agenda to say that the Beast of Bray Road or a dog man, whatever you want to call it, is like a flesh and blood natural of this earth creature, she would have left that fucking part out.
Yeah.
Now, if she put that part in to insinuate that it's a spiritual, demonic, extra-dimensional type creature, she probably would have left out the part where it was eating. Because demons don't need to eat. Like, if it's purely, supernatural, it probably doesn't need to eat, right? So that's why I say, like, I love reading Linda's books because she just tells the fucking story. Whatever it is, whatever comes of it, she just tells it. I like that about her. She lets everybody decide for themselves. I respect that. Anyway, the third interesting thing that happened during Fredrickson's interview ties kind of back into the second. So Fredrickson told Linda that he was certain that there was occult activity in the area. 100% certain. He told her that there was an abandoned house with the quintessential occult/satanic graffiti near Bray Road. But that isn't his only reason for being certain of these things. The other reason was that he had once been called out to investigate a ditch full of dead animals. According to Fredrickson, this wasn't like a bunch of roadkill or something that someone had piled up like in this little hole depression thing. These animals appeared to have been ritualistically sacrificed. Some of them were decapitated. Others had their chests cracked open and their hearts, specifically their hearts, removed. Some had both no head and no heart. Some had other things that were done to them, but they were very clearly ritualistically sacrificed. Some of these animals even matched the description of missing pets in the area.
Oh.
Yeah, people's dogs and cats that went missing and got nicked. Fredrickson tried to get the police to investigate this apparent satanic sacrificial activity, but before they got out there to do it, somebody bulldozed the fucking site. So there's a couple more sightings that I'm going to cover, but
Penis?
and one of the, no, none of your penis. One of which, in my opinion, is the weirdest one of the bunch. But the stuff that I've covered so far is pretty much what Linda Godfrey had when she wrote the first article. And it's kind of cool because she wrote this article all because it was a really slow news week. And like somebody who kind of freelanced for her paper, like called her and said, hey, there's like a fucking werewolf up here. You might want to like look into this. So she looked into it on a slow ass news week between Christmas and New Year in 91. And it wound up blowing up into a national fucking story, which just goes to show you kind of never know. And like this became like her life, which is kind of cool. She is way more famous because she wrote this stupid article on a slow news week than she ever probably would have been as a cartoonist and reporter.
That's kind of sad, but awesome.
I mean, dude, she found her calling accidentally. She like tripped and fell into it. And I think that's great. So anyway, I'm going to cover those at the end. The weirdest one I'm saving for last. Now, like I've said a bunch of times, the story blew the fuck up and went all over the country eventually. And this, as we've seen in other episodes, Momo, brought tons of people to the area. Now, in some cases, literal bus loads of people came from places like Madison, Milwaukee, and Chicago just to drive down fucking Bray Road. Other people came solo or in smaller groups and did much like they did on Marzoff Hill in the Momo case, where they tramped through people's private property and made a nuisance of themselves.
Dicks.
Some people even started stealing the Bray Road sign.
I mean, that's kind of a cool.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but like, come on.
Yeah. Juveniles.
Now,
let me steal it.
I feel like this is a good place for a Paranatural PSA. So, bring it in. Listen to Uncle
All
Ben.
right.
Okay?
All right. Yep.
There is nothing wrong with legend tripping. I'm all for it. In fact, I'm kind of kicking myself because of the fact that when I was 17, I stayed for a week in the town of Whitewater, Wisconsin, which is a 25-minute drive from Elkhorn, and I didn't go because I didn't know about any of this back then. Like, I'd heard of the Beast of Bray Road. I didn't realize I was fucking half an hour away. I definitely would have went. So I'm all for legend tripping. If you want to go to Bray Road, or you want to go to Marzoff Hill, or you want to go to the TNT area where the fucking Mothman was seen, go for it. But be respectful. Okay? Don't be douche canoes. Don't go walking around fucking people's property, taking road signs and shit. Be good. Go see it. Behave. End of PSA.
Now, a little fun fact on the end of that PSA.
Yes.
I have Bray Road tattooed on my very lower stomach.
Do
Only
you know?
true fans will get that. The Beast of Bray Road.
Anyway. So, despite having to deal with some, disrespectful a-holes, the town of Elkhorn and the surrounding area embraced the Beast of Bray Road and the attention it was bringing to the town. Some people began selling t-shirts. Bars and restaurants had silver bullet specials. And a bakery in Elkhorn made and sold little werewolf cookies.
Dog.
Like sugar cookies that look like little dog mans. They're cute. I saw a picture of them. They're fucking adorable. But they did shit like that. Which is kind of like Louisiana, Missouri did with Momo.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool these little towns do shit like that. some fucking smartass even put an ad in the paper that Linda Godfrey wrote for. And the ad was Beast of Bray Road for president. And it talked about how he was going to slash prices and shit, or slash taxes and shit. So people really did kind of get into this thing. And another thing that happened after this went national was, of course, more people contacted Linda Godfrey to report their sightings. Which obviously I'm not going to cover all of them. I doubt Linda even covers all of them in her book. She covers a lot of them. I doubt all of them. There's probably a shit ton. But I want to talk about the two that I mentioned earlier because they're fucking interesting. Now, both of these happened before the Andrezy sighting, and neither of them actually happened in Elkhorn, really near Bray Road, but they did happen in like the next town over, town of Jefferson. It was like 40 miles away. Now, the first of these sightings occurred in 1972 when a woman from rural Fort Atkinson called the DNR to report a large ape-like creature walking through her farmyard. You're making a face.
No comment.
Because I said ape-like creature, right?
Yeah.
And I know what you're thinking. Well, that there sounds like a Bigfoot.
Yeah, that sounds like Jeff the talking mongoose.
That sounds like Fred, the fucking poltergeist. Anyway. And you're right, it does sound like a Bigfoot.
It does.
Not going to deny that. The reason that I'm including it here is because this actually does become a very interesting little topic. Number one. Number two, and this is kind of the reason that Linda put it in her book, it was close proximity to the Beast of Bray Road, number one. Number two, there are people who think that the Beast of Bray Road was a Bigfoot of some sort. So, anyway. Yeah, I make up your own mind about that. I don't fucking think so, but she said it did. The other thought that I have when I read this account was the woman saw a large, hairy, bipedal creature in the dark. She did not get a good look at its face or its head, so she might not have seen any dog-like characteristics. And if you see an, like, upright walking hairy thing, ape is probably going to be your first thought.
Or that lizard man that you covered.
He wasn't hairy, though. He was scaly. Because
metamorphosized into a Bigfoot.
There are people that say that was a Bigfoot, too. Anyway. The witness called the DNR to tell him that she saw this big ape-like thing walking in her fucking yard. And Agent David Jetson fielded the call and went out to check out the situation. At that point, he found nothing. Not a damn thing. But 2 weeks later, the woman called again. This time, the creature had come up on her porch and had tried to get in her house. It like rattled the screen door, opened it, like was up kind of banging on the door a little bit. Now, when getting into the house proved to be a little bit more difficult than the creature had expected, it turned around and walked into her horse shed. Now, Jetson went out again after she called and said, hey, this fucking thing's back and it was on my porch, now it's in my horse shed. He went out to investigate, and what he found were claw marks on the house about 7 feet up off the ground. In the shed, they found a 30-inch gash in the horse's neck. And when they came out of the shed, they found 12-inch tracks through the woman's now destroyed garden.
12-inch tracks.
12-inch tracks.
Holy shit.
Now, here's my other argument against it being a Bigfoot, besides she probably didn't see its fucking face very good.
All right.
1, Bigfoots aren't generally known to claw things.
Yeah.
They're not even really described with claws. They have like big, thick fingernails that are probably pretty strong.
But they huck shit.
But they're not claws.
Right.
Okay. The other thing is a 12-inch track is really on the small side for a Bigfoot.
But huge for a dog.
Real big for a dog. Now, it does not specify if it was a human type track or a dog track.
Hog track.
Hog track. But anyway, that was that sighting, which I find really fucking interesting. Now, for the last, but also maybe the first sighting.
Oh.
Ooh. Was that like tense enough? Was that did that give some suspense?
I can feel my heartbeat in my butthole.
All right, good. So this sighting occurred in 1936 and
Ugh.
was told to Linda Godfrey by the witness's son Joe. So in 1936, a man named Mark Shackleman was working as a night watchman at a Catholic convent called St. Coletta. St. Coletta is 2 miles from where the woman saw the Bigfoot / Beast of Bray Road in her horse shed. Like just 2 miles away. Lots of years later, but 2 miles away. So one night around midnight, Shackleman was making his rounds when he spotted a strange creature kneeling atop the Native American burial mound that is on the convent grounds. This part of Wisconsin is covered with Native American burial grounds. It looked like the creature was digging at the ground, but as soon as like Shackleman spotted it, it spotted him and it took off running. The next day, Shackleman went back in the daylight to kind of look for evidence. And he went back, up on top of the mound, and he saw in the ground what looked like raking marks that looked like they were made by 3 long claws. So around midnight that very next night, Shackleman went back to the mound with nothing but a flashlight that could double as a club and a pair of steel cojones so big that it was probably hard to put on his underwear. Because I would not go back with just a flashlight, okay?
Yeah.
My balls aren't that big, but Shackleman, he was packing some fucking steel cojones, bud. Once again, the creature was there atop the mound, digging at the ground. But this time, it did not run. Instead, it stood up and faced Shackleman. He said it was over 6 feet tall, covered with dark or black hair, and smelled like long, dead meat.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The creature made eye contact with a stare that Shackleman said was like it was looking right into him. Then it made a sound, a low, 3-syllable growl that came out sounding like the word Gedera.
I love that cheese.
That's Gouda.
Oh.
Shackleman was very obviously, and for a very good reason, scared, and did the only thing he could think of. He started praying.
Oh.
When he did, the creature turned around and walked away, shooting a sneer over its shoulder before disappearing into the tree line. Joe Shackleman asked his father if he thought that the creature was an animal or something supernatural, to which Mark replied, quote, "That damn thing came straight out of hell," end quote. Just fun little point of fact. Gedera is a region of old Judea where the New Testament says Jesus cast spirits out of 2 demon-possessed men. Your thoughts, my friend?
Reckons they English. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he grew up, but he's got some taters on him.
That is no bullshit.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go there with anything less than like a 30-30.
I mean, I would for sure have a 12 gauge, not just a big old fucking mag light.
No.
Like,
I have a self-defense flashlight, and yeah, I'd feel safe against like maybe a coyote because they're chicken shit, but
I ain't
not a
taking on
giant
no
coyote.
goddamn werewolf with that motherfucker, that's for sure.
Especially not with intellect of ancient Judea knowledge.
Yeah, no, not happening.
No. Probably knows how to dodge too.
All right, Jacob, what do you think the Beast of Bray Road was?
What do I think it is?
Mm-hmm.
Derivative.
Of
The dog man, come on.
Okay. So, what do you think a dog man is then?
A freaking dog that stands upright that's way too freaking big and has I remember doing the Dogman episode. It never straight up attacked someone. It's attacked vehicles, it's attacked houses, churches, all that stuff. And when you were saying that it was the old where Jesus sent possessed souls, like
No,
a huge
it's a place in the Bible. It was like a country or nation or whatever, where Jesus cast the demons from two possessed men.
Oh,
The I Am
okay.
Legion story, or We Are Legion story, Gadara. That's where that happened.
Okay. So, well, even just like biblical speaking, the huge story for the Dogman is it attacked a church.
Yes.
And then you got that. But I've always thought of it the same way you think of a Bigfoot. Like, it's something, I think it's terrestrial. It's earth based.
Mm.
But there's something different about it to where like somehow it's acquiring knowledge enough to speak or make facial expressions or fear tactics even.
Mm.
Because it's never straight up attacks someone. It chases people off, it attacks vehicles, houses, whatever. It stares right into your soul, but it never attacks anyone
That we know of.
I guess you probably wouldn't live to tell the story. But I don't know. You never have a story of an armless dude who got attacked by a 7-foot dog.
Well, no, if they're going to start the job, they finish that fucker.
You would think, but your Bray Road monster just took off running after giving chase for a bit.
Well, maybe he wasn't hungry that day.
maybe 11-year-olds don't taste that good.
Maybe they don't. I mean, they are kind of dirty all the time.
They are.
Kids being
yeah.
kids, you know.
Damn kids.
But, so, do you think the Beast of Bray Road was a Bigfoot?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
It's a canid.
Do you think it's a natural of Earth creature?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't think
But-
it's supernatural?
So the most supernatural thing I could give to it is, because I don't think it's a demon, but like, what if it's like that guy said it's one of God's mistakes?
Mm-hmm.
What if it is, and like, it's basically like a conduit, you know, of demonic energy, and that's how it has the intellect to scare the dickens out of people, talks, smiles at people, that kind of stuff. Maybe that's where it gets the intellect, but it's earthbound. Like, Dogman's been around since freaking 1880s. Well, that's where the song starts, but like there's stories from like the 1600s of it.
There are stories all over the world that you could put into a dog man type category, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, even look at Anubis.
Yeah.
Was, you know, the god with the head of a jackal. That
Sure as
kind of
shit.
fits some dog man type stories. Not necessarily
Absolutely.
this one, but
Yeah. But like, I don't know. If there's something supernatural about it, I feel like it may be possessed or in cahoots with demonic presences to where it has some knowledge. It's like dogs have carnal instincts where They eat shit and breed
Mm-hmm.
when they're out in the wild. The fact that it has more than that, it's got to have some source of that intellect.
So here's my thoughts on it.
No
I
one wants to
think
hear that.
the dog man exists physically in our world. Like, if I just take this story and almost any story of the dog man, it doesn't fucking make sense that it came from our planet. There is no evolutionary reason a dog needs to stand up on its hind fucking legs. None. They can't run faster that way. They run fast enough on four. So I don't think it is of this planet. Is it, like, I would say, like, extra dimensional, maybe, what have you. Supernatural of some sort, definitely. Because it doesn't make fucking sense. I could make an argument all day for how a Bigfoot is evolutionarily a fitting thing for this planet. I cannot make that same argument for any sort of dogman type creature. I just can't. Now, I believe when it's in our world, it's physical. It can grab stuff, it eats. You know what I mean?
So are you going like Mount Shasta right now?
I'm going like extra dimensional, or maybe, I mean, I hate the word, but I don't have a better one. Demonic, yes. I'm going for it. Supernatural. Whatever this thing fucking is, the Beast of Bray Road is a supernatural goddamn creature. It is not meant to be here, but it's here anyway.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. When I think that I saw the dog man, the fear, like, I was scared when I saw it, for sure. Not quite as scared as Gage, but
but see,
the
that's
real
what I
fear-
mean.
the real fear kicked in when I was in the house and I wanted to look out the window. I couldn't bring myself to do it because it felt like it would be staring right back at me.
But that's what I mean. Had you seen like a bear, you might have been afraid because you didn't have anything to fight a bear with.
Sure, I did. A BB gun.
But you're not going to be so afraid that you wouldn't look back out the window.
Right, absolutely.
People
I
that
see a bear looking at me.
people that see these things are terrified beyond reason.
Yeah, it's like it's not even just fear, it's dread.
It's like soul scary.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I say this is not a natural animal.
Yeah. Because, like, even people who say they've seen the rake, they describe the same kind of fear where, like, it's nothing they've ever experienced before.
Yeah.
It's just not meant to be, but
Yep.
it is.
And that's what I think, like, the Beast of Bray Road or most of your Dogman sightings kind of falls into that same category. I don't think it's of this world. Whether it's from a different dimension or from hell or whatever you want to believe, I don't care. It's not of this world. That's my fucking opinion.
It's from a dogman planet. Aliens keep dropping them off. It's hunting grounds. That's what aliens are doing out here.
Maybe.
It's hunting grounds for dogmans.
Could be.
Dogmen.
Could be. They send the Bigfoots down to fight him into submission.
Yeah.
But anyway.
God, and we're going to end up with a freaking furry loving Bigfoot, and then we're going to have a dogman Bigfoot. Bigfoot a dogman.
But anyway, there is our thoughts, and we would actually love to hear yours. What do you guys think the Beast of Bray Road is? Let us know. I'm genuine about this. We really want to know. Like, we would love to hear your thoughts. And you can tell us those thoughts by joining our Facebook group. You can go on our website and hit the contact section, paranaturalpodcast.com. You can email us, paranaturalpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on pretty much any of the socials. We really would love to hear your thoughts on this or any of the topics that we talk about. So,
okay, I was going to say, you say it like we're not normally interested in their
we're
thoughts.
always interested. Like, these discussions we have because we love them and we love to know what people think about them. Like, I mean, even if you think it's just all bullshit, fucking hit us up and say, dude, this whole story is fucking bullshit. We don't care. We'll listen to your opinion.
Yeah, and be prepared for me to argue back at you.
For real.
because I am that committed. I will talk to our fans and not fans. So I want to go back to when she said it was ape-like.
Ah, yes, please.
Okay. So I've heard a lot of stories on bears like slouching when they walk upright
Mm-hmm.
to where like in the right light it would look like an ape and it's trying to get into her house. Bears know how to open doors.
Yeah,
Derek's had
generally
one
just
break
by
into his
crashing it
car.
over. Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway.
no. Derek's had one open its car door and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then a bear could easily put that kind of slice into a horse's neck. But the 12-inch tracks, like
Way too big for a bear.
yeah, like how dog tracks are, they're wider than they are long.
Bear tracks are the
So,
same way.
like, yeah, especially bears. Bears are a lot wider.
Yeah.
But like just the monumental size that would have to be a dog track, it would have to be like bigger than a dinner plate.
Yeah.
We're talking like elephant-sized tracks.
I don't know how big an elephant track is, but yeah, it's pretty fucking big.
Yeah.
And
So
no, I'm 100% with you. A bear may choose for some reason to walk bipedally across somebody's yard. It might, like they do come up on porches and try to get in houses for sure.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, it could gash the horse pretty easy.
But they got their 5 toes up front, and then.
Like I said, they didn't explain the track.
Right, but they said three scratches on the door.
I don't know if there was a number given.
They said.
Did
3.
it say 3?
Pinky promise.
I wrote the goddamn notes and I don't remember what they said. I know the 3 gouges in the mound.
No, that was rake marks.
Right, but that's the same thing. Claw marks, rake marks in the ground, whatever.
Yeah, but they said 3 long scratches in the door.
Yeah, and a bear would leave 5.
Yeah, because they're pretty.
Yeah, they can't like bend their pinky and thumb out of the way like we can.
Yeah. So 3 is still a weird number because I can't think of 3-toed sloth. We got a 3-toed sloth man out
Well, okay, so I want you, like, if you look at your own hand, your 3 fingers, so discount
Are
your pinky
longer.
and your thumb, they're longer. So if you're going to claw at something, those are the 3 that are going to leave the deepest marks.
Yeah.
So
But
the other 2 may or may not even show up, depending on how hard you're clawing at something.
right, but he would have to have more man-like paw hands.
He was holding some roadkill. Dog paws aren't going to hold roadkill. Human paws are gonna.
But bear claws can.
Can they?
Oh yeah, they pick shit up and eat it all the time.
Do they? I've never seen
Yep.
that. I'm honestly curious about that. I've never seen it.
Yeah. They'll hold like bait bags open. They'll pull it out of there. Bears are clever.
They are pretty clever. So I mean, maybe it was a bear. I don't know.
Yeah. But still that three scratches, that's weird.
And I feel like only some of that is bear behavior.
Yeah. Some of it, yeah. Well,
Like, yes, a bear could gouge the horse, but
they would
why?
eat it too.
Why would
Yeah.
it do that? And it didn't kill the horse. The gouge mark was on the back of the horse's neck. The horse
Yeah.
lived. The horse was fine, by the way.
Yeah.
And I
would
don't
do
know-
that for food.
So a grizzly bear might go fuck with a horse. I feel like a black bear would not.
No, and that's what's going to be in Wisconsin.
And that's what's in Wisconsin is black bears.
Yeah.
Black bears are kind of cowardly fuckers, really.
They are.
And
They're
horses are
curious, but-
significantly bigger than they are.
And yeah, horses are powerhouses too.
Right. So I feel like a
Yeah.
black bear is not really going to fuck with the horse.
And I'm kind of upset in that story where she didn't mention that she heard a horse yelling or anything, because like horse would be screeching if something came in.
So first off, I don't think she went outside. She stayed her ass in the house. And I don't know how far away like the horse shed might have been. And yeah, no, she didn't mention it, but the account came from the DNR officer, not her. So he might have just left details like that out.
Okay. Yeah, because like horses, for as big and powerful as they are, they're chicken shits. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
my ex, her barn was probably a good 200 yards from her house. Possum broke in there once and started running around their feet, and they were going crazy. I heard them from inside.
Oh yeah. They can get loud as shit.
Yeah.
But like I said, the account came from the DNR officer, not her. So he might have just left something like that out.
And for the people who don't know what DNR is, because apparently that's not a national thing.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Oh,
no.
shit.
I was confused when I moved down here.
Yeah,
It's wildlife protection and wildlife management.
Oh, yeah. That's Department of Natural Resources
Yeah.
is what it stands for. They're the people in charge of, like, hunting and
Fishing.
and,
Yeah. Trapping, all outdoorsy.
all outdoorsy type
Even-
shit.
Even logging.
And animal control in some instances.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, that's what I had to say about that. Like, some of it could be bear-like, but the 3 scratches, that's...
I
it would
mean,
have to have human-type mitts.
yeah, you're right. There's a lot of it could be bear in there.
Or a 3-toed sloth man.
3-toed sloth, man.
We've got this...
Yeah, but he'd still be walking for the woods.
Imagine how scary that thing would look, though. Ooh.
I mean, giant sloths were a thing.
You ever see their freaking talons on the normal size sloth?
Giant sloths were a thing.
Yeah. Switch it with man, so it's got a top speed of like 4 miles an hour. That thing would be dangerous.
6 at downhill with a good stiff wind at its back.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how it's chasing these cars. Are the cars out of gas?
Well, the one chick did stop, so it might catch up to a stopped car.
It's like the Austin Powers scene where the guy's like, no, getting run over by the
Real fucking
steamroller
slow.
or whatever. Yeah.
All right, on that note, I will say, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy our show, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts if you have access to Apple Podcasts. And if you don't, share the show with a friend. That is the fastest way to help us grow and reach more listeners. And as always, we thank you so much for having already shared the show with your friends, for helping us grow little by little, every day, every week, every month. We love you. Good night.
So much love, and I will post a picture or whatever.
The mascot.
Yep, our 3-legged mascot.